Hi, we're Team 2, and we will be doing an analysis of the TED Talk video that we watched in class this week called We're Building a Dystopia Just to Make People Click on Ads. I'm Caitlin, and I'm joined by Adam. So first I'm going to start by talking about the key problems for AI, with AI for consumers, specifically millennials. So a lot of these points were actually discussed in the TED Talk we watched this week. So I'm going to go through each one of those. First off, persuasion architecture in the digital world can be built at a scale of billions, targeted directly to each individual user. So persuasion architecture in the real world is limited. There's only so many candy bars that can be stocked near the checkout aisle. However, in the digital world, the possibilities are endless. Ads are being targeted to each of us specifically on a large scale. Anything we look up, anything we research becomes part of the algorithm. I'm sure everyone has experienced looking something up on Google and suddenly having it show up on your Facebook feed. The information is used to try and get us to buy products or services, which can be beneficial if it's something that we're looking for at the time. But when we aren't, it seems like an invasion of privacy, and those ads can sometimes be a little annoying. This information can also be sold to marketing companies to try and learn more about millennials and produce ads with a better chance of success in the future. The next point is businesses are capturing and selling our data and our attention to advertisers. So our data is no longer just ours. Whatever we put online can be sold to the highest bidder. Millennials are the largest generation in the workforce, and we're the generation that's most regularly online. So they have a lot to lose in their data being lost or stolen. Millennials generally keep most information online, like banking information, mortgage information, credit card information. Virtually all private information is online. As far as attention, when you look at social media sites or websites, it can seem like ads take up a lot of the space on that digital page. Businesses are trying to capture our attention by placing eye-catching ads where they know that we'll look in hopes that we'll buy their products. If we don't buy their products, we're at least aware of them, and maybe we'll come back to them in the future if we decide we want that product, which benefits the business as well. Social media sites and websites are making money not only by selling our data, but by selling the space. So they know that we're going to look at it. They know that businesses will want to advertise there, and businesses know that as well. So not only is our information now up for sale, but our attention is as well. The next point is the algorithm is being applied to more than just ads, specifically politics. Politicians are beginning to use AI to suppress information and provide false information to people that they don't want to vote against them. So Trump actually tried to do this in the most recent election. He tried to suppress voters that he knew would vote against him. False information can change the way that someone votes or lead to them not voting at all, which could be detrimental to our justice system. The last point from the TED Talk is social media sites boast that they're free, but that means that we're actually the product for sale. Social media sites make billions off of our data. They sell our information to marketers. If they don't, then they're selling the space on their websites to advertisers to sell products to us. While they make billions, we get very little in return. The benefit for our data just isn't high enough for social media sites like it is with other industries. A couple other problems that are facing millennials are the potential job losses and shift in the job market. So AI is actually starting to be able to do jobs that millennials are doing. So millennials could end up being replaced by AI in some of these positions, which could be problematic because it could lead to a lack of jobs for millennials. And the last point is the risk for discrimination in medical settings. AI is supposed to be non-discriminatory. System designers actually ensured that race would be precluded from consideration, but they did include something that asked the algorithm to consider the future cost of a patient to the healthcare system. Generally, African-American patients cost about $1,800 less per year. So that's going to be a factor in that system, which ends up showing an unintentional bias towards Black patients in the future, which can be problematic. I'm now going to pass it over to Adam.
Thank you, Caitlin. I'm going to touch on the analysis and evaluation of artificial intelligence in relation to millennials, based on the TED Talk video from this week. So, artificial intelligence is becoming more and more popular across all industries and areas of life, whether we realize it or not. It doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon with how efficient that it is. Which parts of artificial intelligence is it going to touch, and how is it going to affect millennials is the question I'm going to answer in this slide. So I'm going to touch on 3 areas where I believe that artificial intelligence is already prevalent and where it's going to continue to grow. So in jobs where millennials are becoming one of the largest parts of the workforce, is seeing an effect by artificial intelligence. Companies are looking to artificial intelligence for improved efficiencies and productivity gains. Artificial intelligence is also being used to improve the speed of business, which companies are doing. It's also being used for monitoring in relation to equipment that may be used in manufacturing, where a maintenance operator may operate on equipment whenever it goes down. Artificial intelligence could monitor equipment and schedule routine maintenance before it actually comes where it's becoming a critical part that it needs to be fixed. And companies are also using artificial intelligence to reduce human error, which is very common in the workforce. Jobs that are being replaced by artificial intelligence are accountants. Accounting activity can be done through AI, through simple calculations and review of data. Legal jobs are also being threatened by artificial intelligence. Applications like ChatGPT can draft and review legal documents in a much quicker manner than paralegals. Customer service jobs, human resources jobs, and IT jobs can all be threatened by artificial intelligence as well. A lot of companies work off a ticket-based system where a customer or an employee submits a ticket to these departments, and artificial intelligence can review those tickets and respond in a much quicker manner and with greater accuracy than humans can. And also, the finance and trading and investment sectors can be threatened by artificial intelligence as well. Artificial intelligence is already being tasked with making trades on actual funds and are outperforming some hedge funds just through reviewing data and processing it again at a much higher and quicker pace. Millennials are most affected by artificial intelligence. An optimistic view is that AI is going to create 500,000 more jobs than it will replace. This will be very beneficial because not only will millennials be able to keep their jobs, but they will also be able to find new jobs if they ever wish to. A pessimistic view, however, is that artificial intelligence can replace up to 40% of millennials in the labor force, and it's going to make it increasingly hard for them to achieve job security. And it could lead to a shift in what millennials see as a secure career with AI becoming more prevalent. Artificial intelligence is also being used in politics. Political campaigns and groups are using artificial intelligence to identify where they can focus to fundraise and get the most return from fundraising efforts. And political campaigns and groups can also use artificial intelligence to see trends in likely voter groups so they can send advertisements and possible any pamphlets to these voter groups so they can be aware of political people that they would like them to see. Some positives of artificial intelligence being used in politics is it's going to lead to more personalized text. So uh, campaigns and groups can send text to voters based on past voting behavior. Artificial intelligence can also create advertisements very quickly in response to trending news. So they're doing it as news is breaking. They can create advertisements almost out of nothing. And artificial intelligence could also give more power to citizens as they have more information and can gather and mobilize in a much quicker manner and more efficient manner. They can leverage their voice to have politicians act in their behalf more favorably. Some of the negative uses of AI in politics is governments would have a very powerful tool at their disposal, which they could use for surveillance or anything else, which could minimize trust in the population of the government. And artificial intelligence also does not have a fact checker, so it could spread disinformation very quickly, and voters could read it without understanding that it could be false. With millennials and Gen Z becoming a majority, set to become a majority of the American voting populace by the end of this decade, this technology is only going to become stronger and more powerful, and it's going to be on millennials to understand what kind of political content they're digesting. And lastly, marketing and advertising is using AI quite heavily, as Caitlin touched on. Um, Businesses are using artificial intelligence to review data in an enormous manner, creating segments that they can reach to and sell their products to, and are also leading to companies not only focusing on one audience, but possibly three audiences for the same product because of how quickly artificial intelligence can process customer data and segment them into certain groups. Advantages of artificial intelligence in targeted in marketing and advertisement. Uh, AI can create a very interactive experience with a user. I can also increase companies' return on investment with how accurate they can be and how almost guaranteed it will be led to a sale if their advertisements are put in front of the correct audience. And some of the negatives are, as Caitlin addressed, like advertising bias, where companies could don't understand how the algorithms work and could be biased in their advertisements through no fault of their own. And data privacy is also another problem where customers don't really understand how far companies are reaching for their data and where it's going. With millennials set to become one of the biggest consumer bases in the world, it's gonna be more on them to understand when they're being what kind of advertisements they're seeing, and also what kind of data of theirs is being mined. And then I'm going to go to the next slide for my for recommendations. What measures can be put in place to protect consumers? There's two different. It's going to be on industry and governments to put in protections for consumers. So companies should give users control of their data and let them opt in or out of data gathering, and also to be transparent and to build trust. This is going to improve the relationship between business and consumer. Like some of the reading materials that we had this week stated that the more customers are aware of what businesses are doing, makes them more likely to trust those businesses. Also, eliminate biases, as we've discussed, in artificial intelligence, which could lead to advertising campaigns being done in a way that isn't accurate. It can be biased. And companies should also gather only the data they require. Companies should not be gathering too much information and being too invasive to their users. They should only take the data that is truly required from them. Since companies are most likely not going to regulate themselves to this degree, it's going to be on the government to put in a stop to some of these artificial intelligence applications, so that customers are not being taken advantage of. Senator Michael Bennet from Colorado actually just introduced a bill that would create a task force to review artificial intelligence and what protections should be in place. If this is passed, the task force will operate for 18 months, report their findings and recommendations, and then dissolve, hopefully leading to the government understanding what they need to do to put protections in place for consumers. And governments can also set limits on how much data companies can mine and gather from their customers, and the extent of the data that is being gathered. If governments can put some regulations around companies, they're going to be less likely to be too invasive and take too much from consumers as far as their data. And now I'm going to pass it over to Caitlin.
Thanks, Adam. So what is the most positive aspect for both consumers and businesses in the collection of consumer data? So for businesses, they can learn about their customer or potential customers and get a better idea of how to market their products or services and create better ads for their customers to hopefully get some sales and generate revenue. For consumers, they'll receive targeted ads specific for them based on relevant products that they might actually want or need. One of the articles we read this week made a really good point related to this. Customers appreciate their data sharing that can lead to products or services that may make their lives easier and more entertaining, educate them, or save them money. So if businesses can use that information to target their ads to consumers to make those products shown to consumers to make their lives easier, or educating them saves them money, this is really something that will be beneficial to consumers and beneficial to businesses. This information just needs to be used in the proper way. So that is our presentation. Thank you guys so much for your time.